Sorry, everyone, this is so late, but just can't be helped. We have breaking news today. Today is 1,433 days since Richard was murdered on the Fort Bliss footprint, and we still don't have his remains, and the law needs to be followed. The law needs to be followed. It's required. It's required. And it's like it's just crazy. It's so crazy that regulations are placed in books and books and books and buildings upon buildings upon buildings with laws, and then they're just dismissed. No, the law requires that we hold the people that murdered Richard, and the prime suspect is Dallas Hart, um, accountable. Accountable. So, the law requires that. And we have lots of breaking news. We just heard that a Texas inmate, was held accountable today and was given the lethal injection. I think his name, I wrote it down here. Make sure I have it. I know I wrote it down. Romero Gonzalez. He was held accountable today in the state of Texas. He was given the lethal injection today for murder that he did years ago. So what the point is that it once Texas understands who murdered who, and you're on the death row, they don't let go. They don't let go. They carry it out. And, because there was a lot of attempts to stop this execution. But Ramirez murdered someone. The law required that he be held accountable. And that's the point of it. And through this whole thing, and I absolutely get it from people that, it's just an uncomfortable feeling, accountability, or, abiding by the law when it comes to penalties such as this. I absolutely get it. But when when your son has volunteered for the military to serve, and oh my gosh, my arm came off. How did that happen? Um Anyway, I'll have to look at that. Sorry. It's a wild ride. It really is a wild ride when um you raise your son, and they volunteer to serve the country, and they're trained, and they go to El Paso. They go to Fort Bliss, which is such an important military installation for so many reasons. For so many reasons, it's so important. And to learn that it has a breach in security that is so egregious, that your son has to become a whistleblower and put his life on the line at home for El Pasoans, for soldiers on Fort Bliss, for the children, because this is absolutely a sex cult, sex child trafficking, child pornography case, okay? Absolutely. The motive is to silence Richard, and stop anyone from knowing who is trafficking and child sex pornography producing along this border, making the community a worse place, a criminal place. To find that out and to go through what we have gone through for years now, being made the investigators for our son's case, and then having a victory in that because of documenting, and putting it all together to make sense and giving it to the law enforcement agencies and organizations and institutions over and over again, who were being lied to at the beginning by the original response team. The same, Mickey Mouse, Nick Nofziger, right? Nick Brown Bell Nofziger, the POPR team, old Ironside PR team from El Paso, the original response team with the CID, right? This original response team misleading the law enforcement community, along with Bob Moore, interfering with the case, colluding to take down a duly elected district attorney looking into Richard's case, looking into how the money was being distributed from the El Paso Community Foundation, because Richard's case and the Walmart mass shooting case are connected. So the interference, the collusion, and now Bob Moore colluding with the Mickey Mouse team, the Nick Nofziger, who, was the site administrator over and over again, impersonating our family, attacking our son. This is the original response team in the emergency response for Richard when he, when he was murdered. That was with Nadal Bayim. This is the original response team that misled, kept very important information from the larger law enforcement community, meaning that FBI, being led by FBI Supervisory Director for El Paso, Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr., found Richard's remains in Juarez, Mexico, and knew that he was dead knew that he was dead, his remains being found, and kept that from the family, and kept that from the greater law enforcement community, and kept that from El Pasoans and the military community. And we provided this information over and over again. We kept it. We investigated. We collected information. We collected evidence. We have the videos of Nadal Baim. We have where he told the cashier he was FBI and that she needed to keep silent of this information that he was giving her, and that he worked close by, very near this blue party hall. And more information is coming out about that. But the major point right now is that Bob Moore failed to contact us even though we let him know. We reported him to state and federal authorities after trying to reach out to him over 15 times, no less than 15 times, and that we had been made the investigators of our son's case. We have the evidence. We provided the evidence to the government officials that had no other choice but to declare Richard deceased after looking at the evidence that we provided them. And yet, Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, part of the original response team, because absolutely he was colluding then, interacting then with the PR Old Ironside Mickey Mouse team during 2020. They absolutely know each other. That's why he is engaging with them again in criminal activity on the impersonating site, on the site that smears and misleads and harasses and on and on. That's Bob Moore. That's Bob Moore, El Paso Matters, which is El Paso Community Foundation. That's not Mickey Mouse, Nick Brown Bell Nuffdinger or Nutzigger. That's not, that's an NCO. But the NCO, Nuffsinger, is encouraging Bob Moore in his crimes. That's what's going on. And Bob Moore made a huge mistake. He decided to become criminal, right? He has all this privilege of being able to directly communicate with millions of people. It's a huge privilege. And he made a mistake to use it for evil, to mislead, to give false information, to manipulate, to collude, to tamper with an election. When Justin Underwood, the attorney for the ad litem attorney for the Walmart case, when they decided to collude together with Bill Hicks, because we have the open records, to get rid of, to petition against, to figure out, because they were on social media like Nick Mickey Mouse guy, rogue soldier, break away from the original emergency team task force, the emergency task force for Richard, to harass, to give misinformation, to tamper with the system, with our military system, with our law enforcement system. To protect who? The sex cult, child trafficking, child pornography producing, criminal, convicted criminal. Most of them are all convicted criminal. I mean, these are criminals. Is that what our old Ironside is up to now? And, was there orders given? Were there op wards given? Because we know we have what Bob Moore did with Justin Underwood and Bill Hicks, to tamper with the election, to tamper with the decision of El Pasoans and who their DA, who they wanted to be their district attorney, their prosecutor, to identify crime, document crime, and prosecute crime so that they would have a better community. And Bob Moore with ad litem Walmart attorney Justin Underwood, and Bill Hicks, the attorney for Purchase Funeral Homes, decided to collude together to take down Yvonne Rosales. And now he is continuing. It's like he has a playbook, an evil playbook. Matter of fact, I need to make a meme with that. An evil playbook. And I haven't even gotten to the breaking news. But he has an evil playbook. Oh, I'm going to now collude with the NCO, and I can't stress it enough. I have to repeat it for people to understand what this means. That a member of the original emergency response team to Richard is colluding with Bob Moore El Paso Matters to commit crimes, to impersonate, to bully, to disseminate false information, to not even contact, respond to the family that they are attacking, that have been made. We're not, and I hope I'm not, maybe I am putting a feather in our hat, but we didn't ask for this. We didn't ask to be made the investigators for our son's case. We were told that there was no other choice if we wanted to figure out what happened to Richard, to find out what happened to Richard, that we would have to investigate and bring the CID and the command leads. And that is well documented over and over again. And so we are the lead investigators in our son's case, and Bob Moore doesn't want to respond to us? But yet he'll put out a false story? A story that gives a false narrative without first getting a statement from the family, and instead going to the rogue breakaway original response team that is colluding and with the prime suspect in our son's murder, and with the likes of Amber Chase, who wants to rape our son's soul out of him and film it and send it to us? And double down on that triple. I can't tell you, this is a triple time she, like she has this fantasy, criminal fantasy. This is like criminal mind, a depraved criminal mind. And this is who Bob Moore is getting information from? He's so discredited, and so, he just made such terrible decisions. And what this has led to, because there's other things going on, breaking news. Now that people might be on here, breaking news, and it's been a wild day, so, because the last few days, have made huge breaking strides in this case, because we have a rogue military group attacking who were part of the original emergency response team in our son's case, attacking our son while in uniform. And we absolutely had to report this, and we reported it. And this was a few days ago. We reported it. We have been reporting so many other things. This was a huge thing. And now we hear today that Isenhower, not from Isenhower, he's been frightened into silence, while an NCO E7 can run his mouth attacking the family of a murdered soldier on Fort Bliss. And Eisenhower, 2-star general, is fearfully silenced because he knows there's so much liability in all of this. That's what's going on. And so it wasn't from him that we heard, even though we've been writing him, that he is leaving Fort Bliss. So breaking news, he is no more. He is going to be out of here. I don't know what his last day is, because you would think that he would respond to our many look, You've got an old Ironside soldier. That means it's under his command. His command is 180. His command. He has soldiers under his command, being site administrator, who we were just told this evening that he's no more there. Well, he's there, but he's not site administrator anymore. He's site administrator. What is he even doing attacking a family? What is the military? What is Disney doing allowing this to happen when he is defending a rogue group, a sex cult group? They're a sex cult group. And we have corroborating evidence from Leilani Hart, from conversations between James Courtney Hart and Leilani Hart, from the notary, from the FBI, from the CID, from Tavita Nusa. We were made investigators. What we found, can you imagine? Because we're not neutral investigators, emotionally neutral investigators. We have had to, we've not been allowed to grieve. We've had to find out by our own investigation that our son was brutally murdered, that he was dismembered, that he was buried in different locations, that his partial remains are charred, that they had to use a dental record. And Bob Moore doesn't want to respond to a family that has received all of this investigative evidence and report on that, so that the law will be followed and abided by for the good of the community, for the safety of the community. This is what media is supposed to be doing, but they have become political attack dogs. They've been so politicized, and Bob Moore is one of the worst. And there are ethical reporters out there, and we need to support the ethical reporters. And we absolutely have contact with ethical reporters. But it's not Bob Moore. He's up to no good. He's hurting El Paso Community Foundation. He's hurting El Paso Matters. He's hurting El Paso. He's hurting Fort Bliss. He's hurt this case. He's hurt Yvonne Rosales. I mean, he's tampering with politics, with the election results. So, yeah, it is, Rob and I tell ourselves we need to hold ourselves privileged that we can participate in the exposure of Such evil. Such evil. And so we ask, well, we want to thank everyone for supporting us through this day in and day out. And, I know we've said it, we cannot say it enough. I'll say it every time. I should say it every live stream. Thank you so much. We appreciate it so much. And all the shares, all the comments, and our numbers. Well, let's just say the leads and the information that are coming in, a little bit overwhelming, a little bit overwhelming. And I don't want to say that it's a bad overwhelming, it's a good overwhelming because we're getting more and more information every day that we have to go through. Um, and we have to find it, and we do a privilege to stand up to this evil for the sake of our military, for the sake of the community there, for the sake of our son. We want his remains. We want his remains. So, that Eisenhower is leaving, and there doesn't seem to be any announcements, like a normal announcements, normal fanfare about it. Um, Veronica Escobar, very evil. Look at Veronica Escobar. Oh, I just shiver saying her name because she's just done so much harm, right? So much harm. But her Twitter about Major General Eisenhower leaving was very telling. It wasn't congratulatory. It was like, uh, don't let the door hit you in the backside. And I shouldn't say it, that's not what she said, but it was like, oh, it's been nice working with you. Um, which is odd. There was no, so we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. All I know is that he's leaving. And so he joins the rest of leaving. And I know, 2 years or whatever, generals, whatever. I know all that. But look, it is very, I don't count it, um, I don't call it a coincidence when we just put in the level of complaints we put in, and they were huge. And then he's leaving, and there's no response. There's no response. I think we, because of you sharing, because of your interest in this case, um, I think we've had some impact. We've had a lot of impact. And he is going to be an addition to the growing ranks of all the people that have been removed. We have the new State Department person. That was a huge deal. Um, and because you have to understand, this case is international. This case is, and then you have soldiers in California. So now this becomes federal. I, I mean, I don't know. I don't know all the legal. I'm trying to stay very focused, and the focus here is what is Bob Moore doing with Mickey Mouse Nick, who's active duty soldier, who Bob Moore absolutely knows is committing crimes by attacking a family that has just become, just been given gold stars, the declaration of death. And Mickey Mouse Nick is impersonating our family, our cause, our son, to do harm, to mislead, to intercept information. Is that where Bob Moore plans to get his information? Is from illegal means? Criminal means? Hey, Nick, when you intercept from information because you are impersonating the Halliday family, leak the information to me so I can write a story. Is that his MO? Is that what he's trying to do? Because he knows that we are the ones that get the information? Is that why they feel it necessary to impersonate us? Because they know that we're the ones that are getting the information. We are the lead investigators. And instead of responding to us and communicating with us, because they're up to no good, because they have no good intention, and we kind of got their number, then they decide to impersonate us, to intercept some of this information illegally, criminally, with criminals, with confirmed convicted criminals, with the prime suspect in Richard's case. That's how they want to get the information. That's how he wants to, sell his news to other news agencies. Make everyone liable. And then spin the information to suit his political dog means or whatever. It is really, and Eisenhower is scared into silence and then leaving. Hey, God, got to get out of here. Or maybe they're removing him. Maybe they're removing him. Maybe he's like requesting, I got to get out of this place. I've got rogue, breakaway, PR soldiers from the original emergency response team that were up to no good then. They were up to no good then, feeding the media false information, by feeding the law enforcement with false information, by feeding the family false information. We didn't buy it because we know Richard. This is the same group. I mean, Nick has to, he has to answer to Allie Payne, right? Who's Allie Scott now? Then they changed their names, right? Instead of Brown Bell, it's Nuffziger, and if it's not Payne, it's Scott. I don't know. Maybe they got married. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever. All I know is they're the same. And they're colluding with Bob Moore, and Bob Moore has a history of colluding, interfering with our son's case. And it is noteworthy to say that the ad litem attorney for the Walmart mass shooting case, Justin Underwood, was the attorney for Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, who also targeted our son's case to... It's a cover-up. A criminal cover-up. And yeah. So thank you, everyone. You are more powerful. You can't depend on the representatives that you pay for, the law enforcement, um, rogue groups that you pay, because, we're paying for Mickey Mouse Nick. We're paying for um, Bob Moore. Don't forget, he's got IRS to answer to. He's got the IRS to answer to because he wants his cake and eat it too. He wants to be a political attack uh, machine, but he wants neutral status. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So, thank you so much, everyone. And sorry that it's so late. It just couldn't be helped with. I mean, we just really have gotten so much information coming in. And then, of course, is it hot there for you? It's hot here too. It was a hot day. Um, and, there's something to say. I know when we were in El Paso, we would take the siesta, right? Years ago, I don't know if they still do that. Take a siesta and then stay up, in the cooler evening because the desert is so beautiful and much cooler in the evening. Um, yeah, because it was a hot day. So stay cool. Make sure you drink plenty of water, and we have this battle, this privilege. We band of brothers who um, it is a privilege, and I wish I knew that speech by heart. We band of brothers, we privilege few, right? um, those that those that have not joined, that didn't get the opportunity, will find themselves uh, lesser men or something like this. I mean that whole Henry V speech is amazing, and we need to remind ourselves what a privilege it is to expose evil, to expose evil, because there's no honor amongst thieves. And I hope that makes sense. When they're exposed, um, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but I can tell you right now, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. They're not singing Kumbaya. And they're a sex cult group, right? They're a sex cult group. They're just really up to no good, and this is a huge cover up. And so Richard found himself in the middle of something that was just. And then, another thing that I found out that Rob, our investigative team, is 143 is definitely very different to 243 and 343. And I think if my dad would have lived longer, it wouldn't have taken us so long to find this out. But 143 is special. And that's why it's very important for everyone to know. And we're going to explain that in the coming days. But it just depends on all this breaking news, what all we have, and what that leads to. So, but the whole Nadal Baim thing with the remains of Richard, the 143, the blue, what is it? The blue party hall right there behind on Donovan. right there behind the Dollar General store. That is all very relevant to getting Richard's remains. Getting Richard's remains. And this is the story. This is the story that Bob Moore should, if he was, uh, you know, credible in any way, maybe 70% credible, but he's zero. He's 0% credible, in my book anyway. Um, but if he was credible at all, he would be reporting this story about um, the evidence that we have found um, about the remains of our son. So, thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing.